in a good situation, and he has a lot of freedom.
What do you think?
Whatever he wants.
The Gwen, I'm really surprised to see. I mean, it does work well against the Ornn, and look, the nerfs that came through to her were more so a case of, hey, we're going to take a bit off of her range, but when you're in that matchup and you're looking for true damage, well, Gwen is going to be able to give that in bucket loads, and then in the later portion of the game, she can still do a huge amount. I think the really interesting thing, though, is going to be a case of, like, what does Targamas decide to answer? Because, as you say, he's going to get the counter pick, but kind of the world's your oyster here. Honestly, like, I think something like the Renata could do well if you really wanted to. You can go towards these mages if you want as well, just because you're like, well, we've already got our engage tools, we don't really need more. But you could always go for something like the Leona and then just look to be a nuisance in the early stages and look to make those
Well, I said the world's your oyster, and it was Nautilus that was locked in, who's down there in the depths looking for those oysters. I actually think they're pretty shallow in shallow water. In any case, this Nasus hover I've seen 3 times now, but I'm not going to get baited by it getting locked in. Renata.
Yeah, as you instantly get baited and the Renata gets locked in. It's really curious how much of a turn we've taken from Game 1 to Game 2 drafts. Again, showing the versatility of both of these two teams, but I have to feel like G2's comp just ticks kind of all the right boxes. Such good hard engage, like playing Jinx in a draft like this, maybe not the easiest thing in the world, and the range too of G2, they've got a lot of different tools with Corki Poke.
I'm really excited to see how this early game is going to go. Last time we saw G2's top side come out on top. In this case, I would expect G2 to have pressure top, but usually Azir has pressure into Corki in the mid lane, and therefore each side has a lane that they can play around and try to put ahead before Drake spawns, before Herald spawns.
Yeah, just on that, I think for a Jarvan, the way you really want to try and play this is like going the opposite side of where Volibear is, right? You don't want to ever be synced up with him because Volley just offers more in a 2v2 or a 3v3, but that is really difficult to do when you don't have that priority in mid lane or even in your side lanes to try and get deep vision so you can try and desync there. I think that Jankos is going to have to take a step back in this early stage, and you probably will see Malrang have that strong early stage, but if you get to the late point and you're looking at team fights, I'm definitely on the G2 side.
All right, well, Rogue, they stayed on blue. Have they changed up enough to win the second game? Or is it...
They've changed up enough, but I think G2 have changed more, and I really like their draft heading into this one.
All right, that is the question. Can Rogue bounce back? It took them 2 games when they played Fnatic. In that third one, they bounced back. They're not want to let it go that far this time around. Game 2 of Rogue versus G2, where we see 2 completely different drafts than we did in Game 1, showing us both that both these teams know how to adapt, and hopefully that will show us a stronger Rogue in this second game, specifically going into that early game. G2 have 2 more to go if they want to win the championship, but Rogue is not going to let that happen so easily. I'm doing it. Okay, here we go. Oh.
Good job.
Right, here we go, says Shocks, and I feel that's
all right, lads,
all
here
right,
we
lads,
go.
Here we go, in it, blood.
It's the British boys on the caster desk, here to bring a bit of bants, in it, blood.
I'm not getting involved with that.
Come on, it's Medi Vedi, it's Medi Vedi Mark.
That was a wise choice.
Medi Vedi Mark, a bit of banter, you know how it is.
Medi Vedi and Mark.
Medi Vedi and Mark, do 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 do.
I should be in the middle of the Medi Vedi sandwich.
Medi Vedi and Mark.
Sounds like something I listen to in an elevator. Elevator music. That's rude to Vedi. He worked hard on that, man.
I did.
Vedi writes me loads of songs.
I
He sang me
did,
one last
actually.
week. All right, so you might wonder why we're talking about our theme song. It's because Corki and Azir have been locked in.
Yeah.
And immediately, we know we're cheering for pink wards. So I'm expecting that from you guys. Cheering for wards, maybe even cannon minions. I'm going to be honest. It could get to that stage. If they're missed, we cheer.
The observers will give us, I know, we can trust our observers to give us, like, insane spectacles of cannon minions being missed. I trust them. And now that I've set that expectation, they're getting very angry at me. Anyway, let's have a look at this early jungle pathing, as we often do. As a former jungler, now top lane main, what do you think of their early path?
Well, thanks for that setup there, Vedius. Both junglers going to path towards bot here. Malrang started with pink and health potion, very common in the current season to just get an early pink down, a little bit of vision. See if Jankos goes for any early ganks. Seems pretty hard with current lane states. I mean, he has no setup anywhere. Maybe Ornn at 6, bot lane could work if they're stacking waves. They can try to zone them away. I think Warren Larsen is level 3. He has enough mobility to get out. G2 has a bit of bot push. And then for Malrang, I think he wants a full clear base for boots, get Predator rolling, and then play towards top side. The only worry I have for Rogue's comp is you're playing basically a triple AP top side into Ornn Jarvan. I'm not sure how well that'll do in the early to mid game. Of course, late game you'll have comp on the Jinx. We'll see how the damage share works out.
Also, obviously with Rogue's comp, they've gone for scaling, right? We can agree on that. They've gone...
There's no Renekton here.
True. And they've also gone for Gwen, who... After her nerfs, I was told by pro players, dead. She has popped up every now and then, but her other game is that much weaker. But I guess against Ornn, it's a champion that you can get through that with. But I've got to turn our attention to the junglers because Jankos is just walking in right now.
It's a smite fight. Jankos going to get forced away for the moment. Smite from Malrang will secure the red. Jankos now, no EQ for him. Flash available. We'll use it to get away from the dredge line.
A little bit over-aggressive there, Jankos. Maybe he thought a very common pathing for junglers when they path down is you skip red. You go Raptors into Krugs, and then you go red buff to get level 4 and keep the red buff for longer. So he probably thought that's what Malrang did, and he can sneak away his red, but that's not the case. Loses his flash. A lot of trading in top. Brokenblade could look for the flash ult on the Brittle there, but doesn't have the damage to follow through. And the Gwen pick you were just talking about it, Bedias, of course, we saw it a lot into the Ornn.
I've seen it a little bit internationally. I've never really been impressed with it. Those E-nerfs, kind of ruthless, to be honest. But we'll see how it does for Odoamne. It was one of his go-tos back when she was meta. But I'm also thinking about this rogue composition. It seems that last game, the expectation was, well, the game seems to be a lot more about team fighting, right? G2 consistently draft for team fighting. They do have a little bit of agency in terms of the early game, but they're very much about the 5v5. So Rogue answered, well, let's just get a better 5v5 then. Let's believe in our ability to team fight them. The concern comes from like the front to back that G2 have, a lot more reliable. The poke that this Corki is going to have is going to be very difficult to get on top of. And again, they're limited in terms of the actual crowd control they bring to the team fight. So while Rogue definitely have more scaling options as the game progresses, I'm a little bit concerned as to how the fights will actually play out. Of course, we're still very early on.
Definitely are. And I mean, I think when we're speaking early game, eyes are on Malrang Jankos. He has space for Predator now. Malrang got the Ruby Crystal as well. And as much as we've seen Jankos do all these great, fantastic early plays, and massive credit to him, Malrang was doing the same kind of thing in the Fnatic game on the Hecarim, and now he's on the Volibear. He needs to find some early plays as well to get this early to mid game a little bit more stable.
It's very true. I think he does have some pretty solid lanes that he can play around, especially on the Volibear. You kind of provide that setup, so you don't need as much, but also in the bot lane, along with the Nautilus, you have a lot of crowd control just between the two of them to be able to lock down a single target. But now we see Caps using his window to move, Broken Blade moving as well.
I mean, both games, this has been the strat from G2. Shut down Malrang, that's what they're looking to do. The flash away, still going to get the knock-up. Brittle a possibility, Malrang under the tower, first blood, G2!
Fantastic setup there by G2, and you were talking about shutting down Malrang. Now he's lost his flash, lost his life. Gonna lose a few jungle camps as well.
I'm impressed with how they were able to track Malrang there. I wasn't keeping track of how they were moving on the map, but they were able to identify exactly where Malrang was. And they set up the collapse. Caps just drops the wave. Well, I think he had the push in mid, rotates with his jungler. Broken Blade walks underneath the tower. The waves just from the two solo laners were set up perfectly, and Jankos' timing was flawless.
And if you think back to Broken Blade's top to mid roam against Humanoid, he did the exact same thing. Tossed the ultimate Humanoid flash, Broken Blade flash E gets a fantastic knock-up. Again happens there. Broken Blade just sacking waves, making sure his team can get the early kill, and it goes onto him, so that should stabilize the gold deficit from the creeps.
I actually think the way that G2 knew that Malrang was on his top side is they had a ward on the Razor Beaks, they saw the respawn, Malrang wasn't there, and so the only other camps that were available to him were that Gromp up towards the top side of the map. And you saw Malrang coming back trying to sweep that area, but the ward had already descended into rubble, meaning that G2 didn't really lose too much as they got first blood.
What I think is crazy about that is that one of two things happened. Number one, they coordinated the lanes in a way that allowed them to make that happen, or it was just, hey, my top's pushing, mid's pushing, do you just want to go? And it was just kind of like coincidental, and then they just looked for an opportunity. So perhaps they weren't even planning on trying to find Malrang, they just wanted to steal some camps or maybe get a bit of deep vision. But either way, it was just very well executed, the way in which the two solo laners worked to better enable their jungler. And ironically, this is how we used to see Rogue play back in the Inspired days. That was a very common strategy and style that we would see from him.
Malrang getting spotted out there on the ward. They know exactly where he will be. And when you look at the Azir Corki matchup, as boring as it is, a little bit of the action comes around blue buff, because either of these champions with blue buff can get the push, stay in lane, sustain a lot. Of course, if you can deny the blue buff from the Corki and the Azir can take it away, the pressure just gets insurmountable. Of course, vice versa for the Azir.
And in the good old days when we saw this matchup, Corki tended towards a more traditional AD carry build. Of course, his damage switches into magic damage as part of his passive, but expectations are that Camps will be looking for the Ludens here, alongside the Manamune for all that burst coming out of the rockets, so becomes very much a poke champion, does Corki, as the game goes on. We'll see if Rogue are able to deal with it, because for the moment, you can see Trimby working his way up the bottom side, Malrang here as well. Jankos does not know that the bear is waiting in the woods, and here's the chase. Thundering Roar coming out. Stun's gonna land, but Jankos, with the blast cone, gets himself back to his Krugs.
We'll just get a bit of chip damage, but Malrang wants a bit of revenge here. Looking towards that red buff, but Odoamne is getting low. He's just creating pressure on the top side of the map so that he can look to collapse, but Broken Blade can also choose to sack this wave and look to assist the jungle. It looks like that's not going to happen. The push in mid, the push in top, and Rogue going to do to G2 what they just did to them. Leverage their prio in order to steal away a couple caps, and Malrang will at the very least get something back.
Yeah, you can see it across the board, not just prio, but CS leads in top, mid, and bot comp. Going towards Crux here, making sure he's recycling these camps quickly for Malrang, who around the Herald. Yanko's going to use the E. Won't get vision on the Herald though, but the fact that it's not sitting there might tell him that he started up. Malrang, after this crab, I wonder if he gets level 6. If he does, then he probably wants to full force this. Yanko's showing on top wave, should make that a whole lot easier.
Broken Blade just base, doesn't have TP. The bot lane also just base from G2, but it looks like that they're not going to move towards it. And this is just going to be an easy secure for Malrang, completely uncontested first Herald. Looks like they caught G2 off guard with that one.
And this is the first time this weekend that G2 have lost the first Herald. We'll see how Rogue can use it. Of course, can get a little bit of plates under your belt. Expecting that maybe to go towards mid. I mean, we talked about it being a slow game, but accelerating the Azir always helps to get him towards the item spikes. Handing off blue buff, and we'll see if G2 respond. I mean, Yanko's coming out of base here, could look for an early dragon.
Let's see if he's able to get control down towards this bottom side. No vision there for Rogue right now. A couple in the bottom lane bushes, but Targamas has already started up the Inferno, knowing that Rogue are on their resets, knowing that G2 now have the turn to move, the tempo we talk about so often. It's kind of a pendulum swinging from side to side. Rogue were able to use their side of the pendulum to get that Rift Herald, and now G2 use theirs to make sure they secure the first Drake of the game.
Nice summation of tempo there, Medic.
I learned it from Gulbook, so I will give credit to him there.
Fair enough. It's a great, elegant way of explaining it. First Drake will be secured for G2, as Medic just highlighted. Now my question is, where will they use their Herald? You were just discussing it earlier, options around the mid lane. Do you want to try and unlock the Azir, funnel more gold into him? Often we've actually seen Rogue funnel a lot of resources into comp.
Yep.
We'll usually see Malrang on a stacked wave, bring that down. They'll often try and set up a dive as well. Just try and force the opposite bot lane away because they feel that comp is that reliable late game insurance, AD carry that they can often rely on. We saw even last game some of his mechanics on display, the way he was using Gale Force to dodge out away from a lot of Ahri's charms. So something that we have seen often from Rogue. The question is, will they choose to do it this game?
So I will say, because we have a moment, because it's a slow game, can you guys walk me through, if you were Rogue and you wanted to funnel into comp, what would your steps be? Like, how would you get this Jinx, that Rift Herald? How would you get some plates? Malrang's looking for fight in the mid lane as Caps is caught out, and Rogue don't want us to wax lyrical. Instead, they want blood. Malrang on the board.
Yeah, fantastic setup. Predator coming in. Caps knows that even if he flashes, he sees the E animation in front of him. He can't flash to the side because Larson can follow through pretty easily. Malrang can ult and disable the tower, so again, saves his summoners. And this is exactly where the Herald will be dropped. I think they'll start to hit the tower. After a couple plates fall, they'll drop it. As I said, there it is. We've got the bot lane moving up as well from G2, and the gold will be funneled into the Azir. The way you want to use Herald is either you want to wait, hold for it as long as possible. If a play shows itself, or you can find a dive or zone them off a tower just like this, then you want to drop it. If you can't, then just probably place in the best lane you can find.
Awesome. Just going to use the W plus EQ combo to get out of that one. But yeah, you see Medic, very simple, very high-level strategy.
Just kill someone.
Wait for the enemy mid laner to die, and then Herald.
Five-head.
Very complex, you know, as mortals really struggle to understand.
Well, I hit Master, so I understand it.
Oh, true. Perhaps, that's fair. Thank you, Medic. Thank you. That helps a lot. So, I was surprised the Caps did overextend in the mid there. Especially when he didn't really have that much support elsewhere on the map. So a bit of a blunder there from Caps. Does end up getting punished by Malrang. Does equalize the kills, but it will extend Rogue's gold lead.
Caps' first death of the finals as well. And unkilled in game 1 on that Ahri here.
He is 100% worse than game 1.
That's how it works. That's the maths. So if he does get, is he 200% worse?
I don't know. Again? You're the smart one here, remember? You literally already established that.
I'm a doctor, not a mathematician, damn it. Malrang looking for Caps in the mid lane, though. I don't know if he snuck around the vision here. Caps will spot him now. And that control ward spots out Malrang as he steps forward. A big one building up for Caps, but we won't want to use that to chip away at Malrang's HP. Jankos was here as well, but Jimby came up from the bottom lane. And with the G2 bot lane resetting on their Eclipse timer here. And so once again, a swing of the pendulum in favor of Rogue.
Yeah, but slowly, top CS always going in favor of Odoamne. We're a bit skeptical about the Gwen pick, but it seems to be working out for now. That kill helping Broken Blade out a little bit, but just so down in CS right now. Lost the plating, never really has top push. And the problem Broken Blade has is with no top push on any wave, he can't really move towards mid. He would ideally want to push out top, move towards mid, look for a play, and then catch the next wave top. But no matter what play he tries to make towards mid, he's going to have to give up creep. So we'll see if he does choose to do so, because Rogue are sieging onto this mid-tier one.
Continuing to chip away at it. The wave clear is good from Caps. Jankos Gonna lose a little bit of HP, but Malrang on the hunt.
Not sure they want to go any further here. Handshake knocks him back into Trimby. And Rogue will just gain control of the river.
You can see Comp just resetting back out onto the map. Has got himself the Kraken Slayer, going for the high damage Jinx build.
This is a game where there's an Azir Jinx on one end, and they're ahead in the early game. They're 1k up, they're chilling. The game's only going to get better for them, right? Kraken Slayer completed,
Gwen
rapid
as well,
fire,
like
Infinity Edge, right? So it feels like G2 the ones who have to make plays, but Trimby,
For a play here, Featherstorm coming out, Trimby locked up, rooted in place, depth charge used as well, but the Super Mega Death Rocket's not going to do enough to kill off Flacket. Trimby will tick to the Ignite as G2 get their second.
And it's Flacket and Targamas finding themselves another 2v2 kill. They did just that against Upset and Hylissang, and they will do it once again. It was Trimby and Comp that actually engaged that fight. They came back onto the map with all those items. They thought they were strong enough. Ooh. Both smites missed, and now it's awkward. The red reset regenerated all that HP, and Malrang just said, you know what? You can have it.
But the biggest winner here is Larssen, of course. Caps got the package, that's why Malrang backed away, but that's going to be first tower over to Larssen, all plates in his pocket. We'll get the Azir accelerated, but great play there by the G2 bot lane. Rogue actually engaging that play to get from the get-go, but still a 2v2 kill. Gets 3 summoners out of Rogue. Now we'll see what Caps can get done with this package, because Larssen probably going to base in TP to say that he's going to cancel and try to catch the wave.
Well, with the second dragon coming up in 20 seconds, I think G2 will want the package just for control of that area. Flacket and Targamas have just reset as well. Hostile takeover and the Featherstorm not available for them right now, but will be soon. Caps gains control of the mid lane wave, pushes that in, forces Larssen to back away, and with 6 seconds on the Hex Sec, you have to expect the Rogue are giving this one up.
But they're basing on their top and mid. They have TPs. They just need to find a way in. TP's coming in. Do they want to contest this? Odoamne's TP will decide whether they are going to do so. Package is burned. Odoamne's running top.
Yeah, Dragon's gone already.
Just going to give that one up. Herald is spawning soon, so Rogue, I feel like they're making a bit of a blunder here. Their jungle AD and support are just hovering in bot side jungle as if they want to contest. Now they're going to push Jankos away from the crab. Jankos gets it, and now they're going to move towards Herald, you have to feel, or look for some kind of bot dive, because they have tempo after G2 did that dragon, but they're not using it so well. Now they're going towards Herald, it looks like, and there won't be a play on bot side.
Yeah, the pings are coming through now, but Rogue seem to be of a bit of a split decision there. G2 happy to take advantage of it and will find themselves 2 Drakes to 0. Of course, this will end up being the Herald going in the favor of Rogue, but G2 at this point don't really mind that. Of course, the question is, what will G2 do now? They're looking for a bot side play. The cross map is going to happen from G2, and I think we're continuing to see this. We saw this in Game 1, we're seeing it again on Game 2, but G2 just reading the map very well, always in a great position to be able to do something, and now Comp could lose his life.
EQ hits, Cataclysm, a possible follow-up. They're waiting for Comp to burn the flash. Got the route with the Flame Chompers and is able to walk away. Re-engage possibly here from Trimby and Comp. The blast cone forward. Trimby will spot that red buff is yet to fall.
Smart mechanics there by Comp, doesn't panic flash. Resets again, Jankos doesn't have smite. Larssen has mid push and they don't know where he is, so minimap you can see Jankos backing away. They don't know where Larssen is, he could collapse towards bot side. Malrang has Herald. Malrang has Herald if he wants to use on this tower, but looks pretty free. Just gonna drop some emotes. And I presume that's going towards a bot tier 1 then.
That's the only remaining outer tower. As the reset does come out. Jankos on his way up here. Now this ward will spot out. Odoamne needs to order that tower once more. Does get knocked up. Of course, Gwen, very famous for being immune, but not when you're in range of the call of the Forge God. Jankos takes the 3rd kill of the game.
And it's an easy play for G2. They spot Malrang basing. They find a window to punish, and Jankos goes from bot red. Sure, he doesn't secure it, but he finds himself a kill. You can see that G2, they're losing a little bit of control over the map, but G2 are always finding ways to answer everything that Rogue does. So they get a tower, G2 get themselves a kill. Rogue get one objective, G2 get something elsewhere on the map, and it feels like that G2, as we mentioned earlier, just reading the map very well right now and kind of forcing Rogue to play to their tune.
Definitely are, but how the hell does Caps have a 200 gold shutdown right now? He lost his full tower plates over to Larssen, but Malrang anyway, looking for a mid play.
Blackhead can pop the Featherstorm, has the root to pull it back as well. Handshake coming out. Root still connects there. There's the Cataclysm to follow up as well. Stopwatch from Malrang. TP coming in as Odoamne looks to join the fight. Malrang disengages, sticks away, but still able to stay alive. Larssen joins this as well. Caps look for the rocket, but Malrang smartly, wisely went back into his own jungle.
And we haven't talked too much about engage, and I feel like G2 yesterday, today, every single draft they have, it's either a Jarvan or something that can go in like a Rakan, but Rogue's only real engage is maybe a TP flank from Odoamne, Larssen's super play, diving in with a stopwatch in the ultimate, or Trimby hitting a hook, so I think G2 are pretty safe to engage and disengage at their own will with Desire or not, peeling back. Now, G2 looking for this bot tier 2, they have TP on Broken Blade, Odoamne does not, Larssen does not either.
Hex flash into hook, Hex flash into hook. Trimby doesn't hook. That looked exciting for a second. As a support, you see those lines, man. You're reading the map, you know. It's
looking for the angles.
Equations next to your head as you wait to see if you can get the engage, but Trimby didn't go for it.
The only concern, of course, he has is that Larssen and Malrang are hovering around the top side of the map right now.
I mean, also, he's died a lot engaging in the last couple of games. Like, as the primary engage for his team, he has died a ton.
Also, Targamas with Guardian, surprisingly tanky on Renata. You think that this is a squishy champ, but she beefier than she looks in terms of being able to shut down that squishy ranged champ. In any case, G2 find themselves pretty much dead even in gold right now. The next dragon is spawning in about a minute's time. This is where I expect Rogue to really contest. This is very traditional Rogue. We often look at them as a team that's quite willing to sack the first 2 Drakes in exchange for Herald and then look to contest on the 3rd. They've secured a bunch of second items. Comp's still working towards his, but I think that Rogue, with a very strong reset right now, all coming back out onto the map at the same time, is going to look to contest his mid-control and the river.
Definitely. 2 items on Larssen. Comp so close to his second item. Presume he's going for them like the Phantom Dancer. Maybe he wants to pick it up before this dragon in 40 seconds, but I think he doesn't have the time to do it. Flacket's going to get the red buff, and I think battle lines will be drawn soon. Broken Blade is the only person who can play to push top here. Larssen will match, as I say that, because they both have TP. So G2 could pressure 2 points of the map at the same time, but ideally you want your Ornn or your Azir before the fight starts. You don't want them TPing in as it starts because they're such good initiators or backline DPS if they overcommit. Caps picks up his second item.
You can see on the minimap as well, Comp a little hesitant to push towards the mid lane. He knows where everyone on his team is, but he doesn't have that much information as to where G2 is. So he's just going to catch that mid wave. And then the tower in the bot lane will end up dropping. TP now coming through from Azir. Rogue is looking to contest this Drake.
Yeah, it's better to TP in before the fight starts. These champions want to be there. Caps is basing now as well, but he doesn't have TP. I wonder if he has package. Rogue could just start this one up, but they don't have information on Caps just yet. G2 stuck in this choke. Rogue have mid-push. TP up in around 5 seconds. Caps going to make his way down. Rogue, really precarious situation here. Odoamne already chunked out. G2 have space to work with. Malrang's off to the side.
Caps clearing the wave in the mid lane, looking for that flank position. Rogue don't know. G2 don't know they're there. Have an inkling, have an idea that Rogue are waiting in the darkness. Ward's coming out. Caps still in a great position here, but spotted on a ward himself. Dragon resets, 7,000 HP on it. It's a Mountain Soul once again. G2 stepping back, waiting for Caps to join them. That ward spots him out once again.
The poke. Caps can land some poke here before the dragon goes down. We'll see if he does. There's one rocket onto Trimby. See if he hits another, because Rogue have to pull the trigger soon. It's only going to get worse. There's the Ornhorn.
Call of the Forge God coming out. Caps goes in with a package. Trimby locked up. Odoamne now diving onto the back line as G2 look for the knockup themselves. The poke coming in. Flacket flashing forward. The feathers fly and Rogue die. One down already. Malrang flashing away. Knocks himself away with Blast Cone. But G2 win the fight of the dragon.
And it comes back to this discussion around initiation. Look at G2's composition. It's so easy for them to just start fights. Broken Blade blows the horn, Jankos follows it up with the EQ, and then Rogue is just in this awkward position where they're immediately forced to retreat. Their poke just is not landing, and G2 continue to dominate the fight.
Yeah, and I even feel like G2 don't even have to commit into this fight. Caps' positioning is so fantastic after the package. Broken Blade and Jankos can just chill and do the dragon. How can you ever walk in through the package, through the Renata ultimate, the poke that's coming on? Flack is even flashing forward. So much confidence. Larssen, little sidestep there from the Corky Rocket, would have died either way. Malrang gets it out himself. Only 1 kill over to G2, but the soul point now in their hands.
And you can see the frustration starting to mount on the face of Trimby. Their options were limited in Game 1. It feels like that their options are limited again here in Game 2. The finals is only going to continue to get harder. The goal difference isn't that big, but that's the 3rd Drake now for G2.
And we heard so much from Trimby about how important it is for him, not that he wins, but that he carries his teammates alongside him. Larssen and Odoamne been here before, have looked for a title, haven't claimed it. Baron now started up, though,
this is sneaky
by Larssen and Malrang. Larssen, you shred through this. Void Staff, Leandries already chipping away at it. Jankos doesn't know. G2 don't know. TP coming in now. Jankos, EQ a possibility, looking for the smite. He's done this before, he's stolen before, but not today. Hostile takeover goes into the backline. Berserker to 2, still watched by Jankos, still in the middle of the pit as the missiles begin to barrage in from Caps. 1 down, Malrang next up. Comp and Larssen get away with the Baron, but G2 still win the fight.
Yeah, it's a 3-for-1. G2 in the fight, but Rogue get the Baron on 2 members. We'll see what G2 can do on the map with this. Maybe they can get this top tier 1. But great sneak there by Rogue. G2 knew something was up.
Rogue leveraging the fact that this Azir can take this Baron down very quickly. And G2 were caught off guard. Jankos tries to go in for the steal. If he had stolen that, it would have been absolute disaster for Rogue. But the good news for G2 is they find themselves 3 kills. They're also going to get the tier 1 in the top lane. So all Rogue have really done is buy themselves a little bit more time, get a little bit more gold into their back pocket, as G2 still have the level lead, they still have the item lead. G2 still have control over this game.
That's what you want with a scaling composition. We'll see Jankos stepping forward here, puts down the flag, and then as it expires, Rogue start up the Baron.
Oh, great timing there from Rogue. And I think they kind of knew something was up, but the TP is what told them that they were on the Nash. Jankos goes in, we'll keep her eye on the smite. 59 1k. Oh, both jungler smite. I didn't exactly see where they went, but it's Malrang that secures it. TP comes in from Caps, who's sitting at almost 3 items right now. You can see the damage from the rockets, and Rogue are forced to back away. Larson and Comp the ones with the buff. And I mean, G2's poke is just so strong. Comp actually skipping the Phantom Dance or Rapid Fire just went straight for the Dominics, of course, because Broken and Jankos so tanky in the front line. Won't have Infinity Edge till the 4th item.
And we haven't talked about him very much, but Flakked, wow, so consistent. The evolution of this young player throughout the playoffs has been incredible, really. 55, 4, and 61 is his current KDA.
This is before the first game of today.
This was, of course, before the first game of today, but the man has definitely grown a lot as a player, and obviously so far this series, it's kind of been the Caps Jankos show, but still, you think about that flash play in that he made in the last Dragon fight, the fact that he was able to always find these great positions.
2v2 bot kill as well, they got earlier on.
And let's not forget that he was replacing Reckless, right? Like one of the legends here of Europe. Expectations were incredibly high, and he kind of got dominated by Upset in the first time that they met, but he talked about how his loss helped him grow as a player, helped him evolve, helped him learn a lot, and like we've seen that learning, that growing, and he's a very consistent, reliable carry now for G2. The question is, will that be enough to bring them home another finals trophy for the G2 organization?
And growth's what we expect with Flack when you have legends like Jankos and Cap next to you. Broken Blade's got a heap of experience as well, 2 finals in the LCS, so he's had a pretty long career, and now sitting in the finals once again in the LEC for the first time. Larson's going to get that bot wave in, set up the tower, 50 seconds on Dragon. Sold for G2. And control is so important for Rogue, because as G2 get control, they're just going to poke you out through Fog of War, and you can't walk up no matter what. But at least this gives some kind of leeway for Rogue to look for an engage if G2 overstep. But they're going to push out mid wave, push out bot wave, group up and find their way in. They did it last time through the choke in blue buff. We'll see if they can do it again.
See Rogue with total control of this river now. 30 seconds on the next Dragon. I wonder, Caps going back. He won't have the package immediately, of course. 6 minutes between the spawns of those, but actually just decides to stay and clear out that bot side wave. G2 trying to gain control of the mid lane. TP now coming in as Larson will join the fray. Caps hits level 16. As Rocket's going to do even more work in this next battle. And upgraded Ludens as well for him. The ornaments starting to come in for G2. Rogue with control. Package now picked up. Odoamne trying to go in, look for the damage onto Broken Blade. He uses the Bellows Breath, but the stopwatch is popped as well. Caps in a good position to flank here, but he's spotted on control ward. How quickly do Rogue react? Broken Blade down, already dead. The hostile takeover coming out as well. It's 1-for-1 traded so far. Malrang's going to fall as well. Flacker doing so much work here, but Comp, can he open up? Can he find the big guns? Can he find the shots? The Rockets. Caps instead turns it around, still has the package in his back pocket. And Rogue looking hungrily at the Dragon. Can they secure it? Can they steal the soul away from G2? They don't have a jungler. Larson slides in, but Caps dives back. A double for Caps, a soul for G2, and they're looking to make it 11-0 in the losers bracket.
Form is temporary, but class is forever, and he saw that again from Caps. The patience that he holds onto that package for so long. The Rockets with the poke. He sees the angle and he goes for it.
Caps played that phenomenally. The start of the fight looks very good for Rogue. They're able to just melt through Broken Blade when Caps is not even there. You can see that this front line just disappears from the damage that Rogue has available, and the back line for Rogue is able to freely dish out damage, but Caps still has the package. He holds onto it. They find that kill onto the overcommitted Odoamne, and now Caps is in the mind of Larson. He knows that he's going to try and make that hero play. He knows exactly what he's trying to do, and the second that he tries, Caps punishes him with a flawless performance.
It's unreal reactions as well, because Larson is WE flashing as well there. He's doing it quick on the fingers. Caps instantly reacts, holds the package for so long despite getting hooked anyway, so incredible display of patience, and now he's sitting on a 1,000 gold shutdown.
G2 is sitting on a soul, 4,000 gold ahead. Their carries scaled up, and we've seen Rogue just unable to find a way into these team fights, unable to find a way to break down the armor of G2. G2 now control the top side of the map. 30 seconds on the Baron for them. Bounties available for the second time this series for Rogue, and Odoamne might try and claim one in the bottom lane.
G2 in a fantastic position right now. They would put themselves 2-0 up in the series. And you think about the beginning of the split, no one would have predicted that they would have a run like this. Back-to-back 3-0s. They're on the verge of going 2-0 in the finals of the LEC. And old school G2, that was an expectation. That was the norm. If you dropped a game, hang on a second, Odoamne getting all in here, but it is Gwen versus Ornn. So
Caps is on his way as well. Doesn't
yeah.
But in terms of expectations, you think of the old G2. If it wasn't a 3-0, some people would be like, not the best performance there, G2, a bit fallible. But that was the level of expectation. That was the level of pedigree that the organization had built up. And it was an organization that really couldn't be toppled outside of an organization like Fnatic, and they've been trying very hard to get back to this level. Last year was a bit of a failure for the organization as a whole, but for them to be in this position right now, in such a short space of time with only a few roster changes, very impressive changes.
It's also an unbelievable bounce back. The fact they lost 3-1 to Fnatic in the upper bracket, and if they win this and go on to win the next one, they could be sitting in a 12-0 record run through the lower bracket into the finals. Trimby might get caught here a bit, but it looks like the TP coming in from Caps and Broken Blade. They want to force this Baron. Full control for G2 on the top side river. They need to get this mid-wave in, or they could just start it straight away. Rogue, how do you find your way into this this Baron pit? They have so much poke. They don't have any vision. This Baron's going to die so soon.
6,000 HP on the Baron. Caps looking for Larssen. Banshees popped on him.
Malrang has flash and ult.
Malrang could look for it. Baron down to 4,000 HP. G2 standing on the precipice. Trimby already burst down. Malrang 2 storming away. Comp has to open up. Comp has to do something miraculous in this fight. Larssen has the flank position. Yanko's already down. Odoamne on the front line now, but it's 4v3 in favor of G2. Larssen trying to get him behind, but the rest of his team is just dying in the mid lane. Caps and G2 once again route Rogue.
Rogue tried to engage into G2, but such a meat grinder in the backline. Instantly, Malrang has to get out. Trimby dies. Malrang trying to escape here. Caps is on the chase. Larssen also has to run.
Malrang.
Can he find him? He should know that he's in this bush. Process of elimination.
How many numbers is his head? Oh, Caps has more.
Malrang can execute though. Of course, he will still be dead for a while. Does get the execute. And because of that Baron forfeit, you have to feel.
You have to, because Jankos is going to respawn. The rest of G2 is going to reset, and they're just going to make a beeline straight towards it. Larssen is still up on the map trying to clear out some of this vision. Does have the TP available if he wants to go for a quick reset, but Rogue are likely going to have to fight this Baron 4v5. Let's have a look. Once again, G2 know they're stronger, and they're just using the Baron to force a fight.
Reminds me of Hylissang yesterday. You hit the hook, but you just instantly die. Trimby can't do anything. Malrang's just forced out straight away. So where's your front line? If you have no front line, your back line is exposed. Odoamne tries his best to fight back, but the second he dies, Comp is next to fall. Larssen was never really in a good position to do any damage. I'm not sure why he was off the blue buff entrance. I mean, if he was next to Comp there, maybe they could look to turn. Carries weren't together. G2 run them over.
And the thing is, although it's been mistakes from Rogue, it's been mistakes from Trimby, that's his job in these fights. He has to engage because no one else can really do it. Maybe if you have vision control, you can find a flank from Larssen, you can find a flank from Malrang, but Trimby is the primary engage as he was on the Leona. And so every time he goes in, Caps just has his number.
This is where it comes back to comp execution, right? On paper, yeah, Rogue's composition outscales. Azir, Jinx, Gwen, terrifying late game carries, but Xayah loves it when you run into her. Renata loves it when you run into her. And basically you have these three melee champions that are all trying to engage onto this composition. The two long-range champs have to go through the front line, and Rogue, it's so difficult for them to actually play the fights, but now they're looking for a pick on a flank.
Caps TPing in, they're looking for flank as he goes towards the backline. The hostile takeover is going to do a lot of work here, but Larssen able to get him from the side. Look at the damage from Comp, almost kills Odoamne. The locket has to be popped. Malrang diving in with the Stormbringer as well. A stopwatch will stop time, and Targamas keeps himself alive as well as Larssen dived in. But the only goal he's going to see here is that stopwatch. G2 wipe him. That was a 4v5 in favor of Rogue, and still they can't find the win.
G2 once again dominate Rogue in the team fight. They dominate the map from start to finish, and G2 are going to bring us to match point.
Rogue just seem like another name on a long list for G2. First they came for Vitality, then for Misfits, then for Fnatic, and now just one win away from claiming their 9th LEC title. The wave's not in their favor right now as they wait to try and fountain dive. Only Odoamne stands, perhaps looking at the last hopes of a title for him slipping between his hands. Odoamne tries to do what he can, but what can you do into the face of G2? The damage on Broken Blade is absurd, but the damage on the Nexus is just enough for G2 to go 11-0.
Wow. Incredible performances by